Time once again to step out, step up, and step into the Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. Rick's expertise in the coming out process has helped hundreds of men and women step out of the closet to live authentically as gays and lesbians. Freeing you from the feelings of guilt and shame, Rick's heart-centered approach is loaded with bankable advice and take-action tips for living powerfully on the other side of the closet door. Each week, the Coming Out Lounge brings you heartwarming coming out stories, thought-provoking insights, and diverse perspectives for living out and proud. Pull up a chair and spend an inspiring hour in the Coming Out Lounge, stepping out, stepping up, and stepping into living your truth. Here's the host of your show, Coming Out Coach Rick Clemens.
So here we go. We're going to cut everything loose. We're going to let it all come out. We're going to be out, proud, liberated, and free to be exactly who we are. I'm Coming Out Coach Rick, and this week is week number 2 of our March towards National Coming Out Day, October the 11th. And as we march forward in this month to celebrate those who are ready, willing, and able to come out of the closet in whatever shape or form that means, whether it's coming out to live as gays and lesbians, taking that step into exploring whether they should step into a transgender world, or for anyone who is stuck in some kind of a closet just authentically desiring to be themselves. This month we are celebrating each of those steps, and we are liberating ourselves to be free in exactly who we are. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning that maybe this week's show might go a little bit to the sexy side, the sassy side. We are going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about different ways of liberating ourselves into things, because until we truly embrace and liberate ourselves to be who we are, then we are not who we're meant to be. So before we get moving along, my hashtags for the show are Pound Coming Out Lounge and Pound CO Lounge. My Twitter is @Rick Clemens, RickClemons, and I am thrilled, excited, pumped up, and have to say that my guest today is someone that I am personally working with, who has inspired me to step even further beyond my big, bold self and really embrace who I am. And because of the work I'm doing with her, I have become very centered in myself, very in love and embracing of who I am as a gay man in a whole new way, and really accepting that I am just one big, tall daddy bear, and that's just fine by me. So without wasting any more time, I want to bring in my lovely, beautiful, centered, and inspiring friend, Bonnie Gayle. Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
I'm awesome, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing really well, and I feel like we have been building up to this moment for quite a few months now, and it's really thrilling for me to have you here. So thank you so much for coming on and being ready to really open up and share yourself.
Oh, my God. Well, thank you for having me. I totally appreciate it, and I feel honored.
Yeah. So based on the intro, there's lots of different directions you and I know that we can go, and as friends, that's kind of how our relationship is. Always go lots of different directions, but I want to jump right in, and let's kind of really explain to people, we'll get to the sex butter and all that stuff later, but really help explain to people what you're doing as a body liberator. And I know you kind of found this a little bit challenging to really explain to people, but I'll help you along the way because I am working with you. But so people can really understand it. What is this work you're doing as a body liberation expert?
Well, it's really interesting, Rick, because basically, body liberation to me is not about a sexual thing. It's really about a personal thing. And what happened was, as I was talking to people about intimacy, people were like literally putting their heads down and walking away. And I did a little research last year and found that 80 to 90% of women hate their bodies, and that affects up to 98% of women worldwide. And now I just did some research recently and found out that men are almost getting close to that same number, which was so sad to me.
Right.
So body liberation is really about releasing all of the negativity within that you feel and that people tell you about yourself, so that you really can feel comfortable in your skin and really step out in the way that you should step out and all be everything that you came here to be.
So what I'm hearing, Bon, is it is that you and I talk about this stuff, but what I really hear is the inner acceptance so that the outer piece of who you are manifests in whatever way it's supposed to be, just as who you're meant to be in this world. But until the inner piece gets shifted, the outer piece then can manifest in ways that truly can be unhealthy, can be those looks in the mirror where we go, ooh, I don't like you, I don't like what I see. And then, of course, when those little voices show up, then the inner work really doesn't have a chance to really be completed and get done so that we can be fully accepting of our outer self.
Absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, we're the majority of us are, well, we're all majority water. And I don't know if you know anything about Dr. Emomoto's work with the water, but basically he took these bottles of water and he put these messages on the bottles of water, and literally the molecules of the water actually changed based on the messages that he was putting on there. So if he put the word love on there, the molecule would be this gorgeous, beautiful thing. And if he put the word hate on there, it would be something completely disgusting looking.
Wow.
And so I believe that, you know, we are storing all of this negativity in our cellular memory. And so we have these molecules that are really ugly inside of us. And when we have that, we really don't allow ourselves to step out in a way that we really should be stepping out.
I agree. So I'm going to jump right to being really raw here, because I think this is one of the shows where to put it out there, but this rawness is about, and especially as a gay man, it is, I had to step into a space which I think, as a gay man, one of the things I know we have to accept is we may be fully attracted to other men, or as a lesbian, we may be attracted to other women, but there's suddenly this liberation that has to come forward of that inner acceptance of self out to that outer piece of us, so that we can actually step forward into having relationships with someone of the same sex. Now, I don't want to confuse anybody here, because this is a big piece of, somebody could take what I just said and go, well, see, it's not natural. No, that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, it's the acceptance that, yes, I'm going to have intimate relationships with someone of the same sex because this is truly who I am. But to go liberate this is part of this cellular memory stuff. We've been socialized in a certain way, and suddenly the thing that makes us the most unique, being gay or lesbian, and whatever it may be outside of this gay and lesbian talk, is something that can easily get fought by our inner cellular stuff if we don't allow it to come forth. And I think that's really what you're getting to, is this, whatever we put on the outside has a direct effect on everything inside of us.
Exactly, but it's actually the opposite. Whatever we feel inside of us has a direct effect of what we allow to come out and what we show up as on the outside.
So this is really interesting that you flipped it around. I think it's an interesting way of both of us looking at it. Last night I was at an event in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It was all gay men, and I love this piece that's coming forward for me in acceptance of my own community, because I love my community. But one of the things I realized is I feel very intimidated in those kind of environments, because I don't feel that I'm accepted for who I am. I'm a big guy. I've got a little extra girth on me. And then I walk around and look at some of these other guys at these events, and they're, you know, the epitome of the really hot gay guys. Built, six packs, you know, biceps, all that sort of stuff. And I realized from the inside out, I was projecting exactly what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. Last night, I just went accepting who I was. And I didn't feel intimidated. I was laughing and smiling. And you know me well enough that yep. When this piece starts to come forward, the authentic Rick becomes liberated. So we've got a couple of minutes before we go to break. And for you, in your own personal story, and I'll interrupt you if we get close to, you know, a minute and 30 seconds, but this was part of your journey as well. There was an inner you that on the outside was manifesting in a totally different way.
Absolutely.
That outer you was due to food and really not loving yourself, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
So can you share just a little bit about that before we go to break here, about what really happened with Bonnie at that point in time in her life?
Yeah, actually, it started off with, I was at 16 years old, I was raped. And I also, at the same time, actually, starting at the age of 14, had a stalker who was calling me up and like saying all these sexual things to me. And at the time that initiated, I hadn't even had any like sexual experiences except for kissing somebody once in my life. And so he was like telling me all these things he was going to do to me, and it was very scary. Sure. And then after the date rape, which was not the same person, even though I don't know who the stalker was, but I know it wasn't the same person. I was a runner at the time, and then I got injured 5 times. And between all 3 of those things, in 1 year after that, I gained 65 pounds. And I was completely miserable. I didn't know what was going on. And somebody said to me, you know, Bonnie, if you don't lose this weight quickly, you're going to carry it around with you for the rest of your life. And you're a beautiful girl with the exception of this. And so, yeah.
Because I want to continue this story. We're going to go to break real quick, but that's the piece.
You've been listening to The Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. We'll be right back after these messages.
I look into the window of my mind.
Believe in your fairy tale to make your zing come true.
I love it.
Debbie Glickman and Deanna Cohen know it. Join these soul sisters on TogiNet.com. Believe in your fairy tale to make your zing come true. Showcases 2 sides. 1, to help entrepreneurs showcase their products and tell their story of their happily ever after. And 2, to interview people who have realized their own fairy tale and doing something to benefit others. This show is here to help folks who have an idea and want to get it off the ground, as well as to inspire people to make the world a better place by doing something extraordinary or out of the box to help others. Both of these entrepreneurs have their own businesses and websites. With more information on their passions and successes, first for Debbie, fairytalewishesInc.com, and for Deanna, thenextbigzing.com. Believe in your fairy tale to make your zing come true with the Soul Sisters, Debbie Glickman and Deanna Cohen on TogiNet.com. If you're ready for a big change in your work, your career, your happiness, your life, it's time for the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com. Marla believes that with the right mindset, anything is possible. Join us as successful life coach Marla Tabaka inspires you and her clients to explore, discover, and live your dreams by developing what she calls the $1 Million Mindset. Marla will inspire you to take action on your dreams and reveal secrets to success that will help you realize your own unique power. Tune into the $1 Million Mindset for heartwarming stories with Marla Tabaka. Learn tips and tricks to building a successful business and unlock the secrets to creating a happier, more balanced life through abundant thinking and attraction power. For more information on the $1 Million Mindset, go to our website, marlatabaka.com. That's MarlaTabaka.com. It's the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
And we are back live with my good friend Bonnie Gayle, body liberator. And right before the break, she was sharing a big piece of herself about her own experience with body image and what she was going through. And she had just started to tell us about the rape incidents she had gone through and being a runner. So let's ask you to go ahead and continue that story, Bonnie.
Okay. So basically after those 3 things happened, which was rape, a stalker, and losing the ability to run for the rest of my life,
right?
I went into a grieving state and gained 65 pounds.
Wow.
And after being told that basically I wasn't beautiful anymore because of it. And if I didn't take care of it, I would be like that for the rest of my life. I went into a deep, deep depression. I remember getting on the scale, and I guess I had been fooling myself for a really long time. And I freaked out, and I went on every kind of diet you could ever imagine for about a year and a half. And nothing was working, nothing. You know, I would gain and lose and gain and lose. And I was completely out of control. And then somebody taught me about being bulimic, eating and throwing up everything that you ate. And, you know, just to show you where my mindset was at that time, I was so desperate. I thought, oh my God, what a great idea. I could eat anything I want and not gain any weight from it.
Right.
So I went into an eating disorder, the secondary eating disorder, which was now bulimia, binging and purging. And that went on until I was 29 years old. At the age of 28, I literally almost choked to death one day, and I still was not ready to stop. And when I was 29, I realized that if I didn't do something, I was going to be dead very shortly. So I got help. I got into Overeaters Anonymous, and I got a sponsor immediately. And I was in that group for about 5 years, and once I started to feel better, which took about 6 months, I started sponsoring people, and I was working with 30 women at a time, always, helping 30 people at a time. And then after, I just decided that it wasn't really kind of doing anything for me anymore, and I needed something further. So I got involved in the healing arts. And when that happened, I realized that I really had body image issues, because I was still looking in the mirror and seeing that person that I saw when I was at my top weight.
Right.
And something was wrong with that picture. And I didn't really know how to release that myself. So I literally started working with a healer, and then I started taking some healing practices myself and really working on myself and really learning to love myself. And it was a really painful road for me to go through all this, and it took me many, many years. And the great news is that coming out of it and really having to learn to accept myself and love myself, I found that it's a daily practice that only takes a very short period of time every day. But if I do it, I maintain everything, and I have found ways to really help people so that they don't have to stay in that physical pain and that emotional pain for such a long time.
Well, and what you just shared, Bonnie, I love that you use the term coming out, because this is the perfect example of everybody is coming out of something, whether you're gay or straight or an overeater or a binge and purger. And it's that piece of stepping out beyond. So your story is very similar to mine in that when I was not living authentically, so from my 20s, basically my whole life, but really from my early 20s till 38, when I got married, had children, and I'm not discounting those experiences because those have contributed to who I am today. But that inauthentic Rick was showing up over almost 300 pounds and very miserable and hiding behind layers and layers and layers of fat and not being who I was, so that the real truth wouldn't come forward. Mm-hmm. And that moment of releasing myself to truly be who I was, which was a gay man, I instantaneously, with some exercise, but almost instantaneously started dropping pounds. But yet, in the moments and the months that followed, there were times, because going through divorce and the turmoil coming out, even though the body weight was shedding, just like you, I would look in the mirror and I would see the old Rick. Mm-hmm. And it's that body image that really resonates with us, because as you said so beautifully in the first segment, it's that cellular memory. It's always going to somehow be there. But when you do the stuff like you explained, the daily recognitions and the acknowledgments and the little manifestations to yourself, you can make it really disappear. So give us an example of something you do daily to keep yourself on this beautiful track of staying in yourself.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I do daily is I look in the mirror at myself naked every single day. And if any thoughts negative start to come up, I say, stop that now. And then I literally tell myself all the messages that I really want to feel and believe about myself, which is, that I'm a loving, beautiful person, and I love every single body part that I own. And this vessel that I came here in literally takes me through every day with ease and grace. And I really appreciate it at every level. I appreciate my intelligence. I appreciate my spirituality. And I really, really totally appreciate and love my physical body for all of its perfections and imperfections, because I believe that I am perfectly imperfect.
I love that. The perfectly imperfect is always something. And it's interesting that you talk about this exercise, because one of the exercises I actually have clients do that come to me for the coming out piece, and sometimes other stuff if there's confidence or self-esteem, is usually third or fourth session I challenge them for a week to stand in front of a mirror naked and look at every bit of themselves to the best that they can. If it means a three-way mirror or whatever, but look at themselves and find what they deem to be the little blemishes or the big blemishes, and really look at that blemish, big nose, big gut, a scar. Maybe they don't like the shape of their eyes or their eyebrows, whatever it is that they catch themselves going, ugh, I hate that. And instead say, and I love this piece of me because it is part of who I am. And I love this piece of me because that scar represents this. And I love this piece of me because it is part of my heritage and where I come from. And it's such a powerful exercise that it shifts and it moves them into a different space, and it begins the acceptance of self at a whole new level. And it sounds like this is exactly what you're describing, is we have to start from that loving self in order to permit ourselves to even begin to liberate into who we're supposed to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? It's interesting because I was one of those people growing up who never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Right.
And, it really took me hitting this time in my life where, and at that point in time, I really did love myself. And all of a sudden my body literally shut down overnight. Because of perimenopause. Wow. And, and I found this product that, I utilize in a lot of the work that I do with people topically, right, because of the messaging that we put into this product and what it actually represents. And even using this product for me on a daily basis has turned me into somebody who was completely shy, yep, to somebody who completely feels comfortable talking to anybody about anything.
And this product that she's referring to, it goes by the brand name of Yes Butter, Sex Butter, and it's absolutely a beautiful, wonderful product, and it can be used for many different things, and we'll get into that. But I love how you bring this forward, that through utilization of something topical, it can actually have this impact on the inner stuff, the cellular level, and begin to change who we are as a person, literally change who we are. And, you and I have been doing the work together, and another one of your products, I've been using the Amida on a regular basis, and it has literally begun to open me up. And because you said to me the other day when we were working, there's been a shift already in how you hear me interacting and being. And, of course, we'll get to see each other tomorrow night. Yay. And
yay.
I'm shocked by what you see when I walk in. So
I'm so looking forward to it. Oh, my God, I've seen a huge shift in you. And it's not because, there was anything wrong with you. It's just because I think that there was a little part of you that was still scared and, not able to come out yet.
Right.
And I feel like that part of you is now, fully blossoming.
Right. Right, and that's true. And this is what it's about, is allowing ourselves, you can call it liberation, you can call it whatever you want, sexual freedom, ability to really be who you are. But when this liberation happens, we suddenly release. And this is the work I do with clients all the time. They may come to me for, I need help, managing my finances, or I need help, being more intimate in my relationship. But the thing that happens is the moment something shifts in one of those areas, then other things begin to liberate as well. And it's the same power that I know you're working with when you do the body liberation work. It may be about, I'm shut down in this arena, or I'm shut down in my sexual stuff, or I'm shut down in my belief about self. But the minute those things happen, everything else begins to shift as well.
Right. Right.
Got about 1 minute till we go to break. So if you were to give someone a here's how I love myself statement, what would you tell someone in a really quick, say this statement to yourself in the morning?
I really love myself because I am beautiful. I am comfortable in my skin. I feel amazing. I have all the energy that I need to do everything that I want to do. And I am so connected to a higher source that I know that whatever I need is going to be there for me.
Wow. And that's a great way for us to walk towards the next and really realize that we do have everything we need, whether we're gay or straight. We do have everything we need within us and through higher power.
You've been listening to The Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. We'll be right back after these messages.
I look into the window of my mind.
Homeschooling? Have questions? Get your pen and paper ready. It's the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Fridays at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. After a handsome blue-eyed Texan fell in love with Vivian at the Victoria Station in London, she found herself at DFW Airport with a tiny suitcase and a snazzy little duffel bag. Well, 25 years later, she is now happily married to that blue-eyed cowboy. They have 4 grown children ages 24 to 18 who became willing guinea pigs when she unwittingly stumbled upon the world of homeschooling. Wildflower Academy flourished for 15 years. They survived and thrived, and you can too. Vivian will be covering a wide range of issues that face homeschoolers. What do you do with kids in the summer? How to set up your one-room schoolhouse? How obedience is paramount? And what to do with those snakes? Plus, you'll be sharing ideas and insights that she gleaned from other homeschoolers. So join us for an engaging hour with the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Friday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com.
Friday Nightcap Radio, 10 p.m. to midnight with Christy and Laura on TogiNet.com. Broadcasting from their scrappy kitchen in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. They've got nothing better to do than riff with their favorite Brooklyn-based independent vendors, artists, bands, bartenders, foodies, weirdos, and news stories. Featuring the live studio audience. Betty Rehab and the Gay Boys. Sex and dating commentary with The Impersonals. The Unknown Political Masked Man. And people who kind of know stuff. Stream on after your long week. Brooklyn's variety show of madcap intellectualism. Friday Nightcap Radio with Laura and Christy, 10 to midnight Eastern on TogiNet.com. Radio like you've never seen.
Familia, faith, identity, tradición. Latina life is never boring, but it can be muy dramática. So how do you coexist between the old school ways of la abuela and the new school life you're creating for yourself without losing your faith, familia, identity, or tradiciones? Welcome to Living Latina with Francesca Escoto, where culture curls and curves collide in one spicy cross-cultural conversation that will leave you begging for más. Francesca tackles all the important issues, from politics to family values, to religion to, you guessed it, relationships and men. As Chief Everything Officer at the Wow Factor, Francesca is passionate about showing women of all cultures, ages, and lifestyles how to rock what they've got with style, sass, and smarts. Be sure to join her every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for Living Latina, only on the Woohoo Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
And we're back talking to my good friend Bonnie Gayle. And before we move forward, I just want to give you a little bit of preview about next week. Again, we are celebrating National Coming Out Month all this month leading up to October the 11th. And my guest next week is going to push the envelope. And his name is Ryan Salins. And he is a female-to-male transgender. And his story is very touching. He has a book called The Second Son, and I will be putting his bio and everything up on the show page later today. But it is an inspiring, truly stepping in and liberating yourself to be truly who you are. So this show about body liberation and stepping into your true self is a good kind of tee up to next week's show, where Ryan will share his story of how from a very young age he knew he was trapped in the female body and went through the grueling and heartbreaking and touching and determined shift to become the man that he is today. So with that, we're going to continue to move on. So Bonnie, one of the things that I know you and I have talked about as we got ready for this show was this piece of sexually liberating ourselves and how who we are from the inside to that outside piece often leads us into this either overt over-sexualization of self or completely shutting down of our sexual self. And I'm just really curious, when you work with someone who you are finding is having this real challenge around the sexual self, what is something that you would do with them to really help them open up and accept themselves in their sexual energy?
Okay, so one of the things that I do is, I do different things for a woman than a man, but like, let's say for a female right now, there's a meridian called the kidney meridian. And the kidney meridian has a lot to do with your sexuality and how you feel about your sexuality. And it starts at your belly button. Well, actually, the area that I work with starts at your belly button and goes down to your pubic bone. So I literally have them take the Yes Butter or the Sex Butter. When I'm working with people, I have them buy it under the label Yes Butter because it's not about sexualizing them. It's about allowing them to open up and saying yes. So what I do is I have them put like a little bit on their finger and literally start at the belly button and draw a line down to the pubic bone. And then literally covet both of their hands like over their entire womb. And literally ask the universe to allow them to start to open up and feel good and feel comfortable in this area of their body. Because when somebody has sexual issues, that's the area that it stems from.
Right.
That's the part of the body. And, actually I have men do very similar things to that too. And sometimes I even have them hold their genitals too, right. Because, a lot of times what they're doing is, if they don't feel like their genitals are the right looking or the right feeling type of genitals or the right size,
right.
They're self-deprecating that part of themselves, and then they want to have a great sex life, and it's kind of impossible.
Right. Well, and this is very, I'll come from the gay men's perspective. This is what we call in the gay community, where the size queens come from. If the penis isn't big enough, then they're either envious or they desire the larger penis, and talking of this area, the sexual area, it's part of the chakras. It's part of who we are as humans. And when the sexual chakras are shut down, it is amazing how from that sense of self, in that sexual arena, in that area of our pubic area and the genitals and the vaginas and everything, that it can literally shut everything down from there up to the mind and into the heart. So the work you're doing here is truly about accepting self from the core chakra of the sexual energy that then enables us from a heartfelt space and on up through the different chakra zones to really embrace and love who we are.
Right. And that's also where our creativity comes from. It's where our inspiration comes from. Like our head, living above, in our head, that's our logical side.
Right.
That's our analytical side. That's where we're constantly like going back and forth and figuring things out and all that stuff. But our true intuition and creativity and our like real being, our essence, comes from much lower down. And if we don't connect to that area, then we don't have that intuition. We don't feel creative. We don't feel inspired. And we don't really feel comfortable in our skin.
Absolutely. Well, I think, and here's where we're going raw. So this is your warning that Rick's going to go really like somewhat to the other side. For gay men, one of the crossroads of liberation comes, and I'm not saying just gay men because there's bisexual men, there's straight men that they cross this road too. It's the acceptance of, from a sexual perspective, am I a top utilizing my penis for the insertion, or am I the receiver, a bottom who enjoys the pleasure of anal probing and things such as that? And to get to that liberated place to even, I'm kind of sitting here laughing at myself that I'm even saying these words, because 10 years ago, I would never imagine that Rick would be doing a radio show as a radio show host and saying these sort of things, but I realize how liberated I've become, even in my own skin, to be able to just beautifully talk about this stuff because I allowed myself to liberate and say, yes, these are the things that we as humans, if we could open up, become vulnerable and release around these things, no pun intended, but really release this, we open floodgates of self-acceptance, self-love, and, as you said, creativity, intuition, all these different things. Mm-hmm. It's a powerful space to be in. So I'm assuming that when you do this work, and knowing from experience of having worked with you, that most people begin to shift into their heart in a whole new way as well. Absolutely, because they move into their authenticity. And when you're moving into your authenticity, you feel it in your heart. I mean, I would say that, anywhere from half to 3/4 of the time that I speak, literally my eyes start to water. And when I'm working with people, when they connect into that piece, that thing, that part of them that they didn't know, like that thing that was blocking them, my eyes immediately, like the floodgates open. Mm-hmm. And it's because I'm connected. You know what I mean? Like my heart, my eyes have always been like so soulful. And I kept them so shut down for such a long time. There was like 15 years that I didn't cry a stitch for anything. And now the way that I operate is when my heart gets, connects into my eyes, and that's like the windows to my soul. And when that happens, my eyes just naturally water. Right. And it's just interesting because I found that happening like almost every time I either speak or have an interview or connect into somebody when I'm working with them individually into that deep zone. And it's like, I know I'm there. Mm-hmm. Well, and I have seen this with you. I've watched it myself personally, but I experience it in the same way. And you've seen me speak. And what I find interesting for me is I hate to say it, but it starts at my sex. It starts at my sexual organ, and I feel it move. When that moment comes where Rick goes and completely becomes vulnerable, I feel it start in my sexual organs and move up through my body, because I realize it's the opening. It's the, here I go. I am putting and even now I'm having some chills in my body because I know I'm sharing something really personal, but I feel the opening begin to happen. And I know I'm going to my vulnerable space where I'm taking myself and giving and sharing of myself on a level that, had I not learned to be liberated and open to this, I could never go there. And I think it's probably very similar for you. So. Oh
my God, absolutely. And it's funny because I just had the chills at the same time you did. I had them even before you said it. I had them and I was like, oh my God. And it's funny. I know.
Big liberation piece, and sometimes, we've got a couple of minutes till break, but this is one of the points I really want to make sure we get across today is the liberation of self should, and I hate that word should, but it kind of fits, should give you some manifestation of change in your body senses when you feel it happen. The moment the liberation happens, a tingling or a gut feeling within your stomach or something should occur. And this is why I find liberation of body, whether it's around sex, around losing weight, around accepting who you are, all is so valuable. So we've got 30 seconds to go, so I'm just going to talk real quick and say, this is the piece, if you're looking for someone that you can really, really connect with on this level, Bonnie is a beautiful body liberator, and when we come back, we're going to talk more with her, have her give you her web address, and really step into what does it mean when we finally allow, permit, give way, open up, and become vulnerable to being fully at liberation with ourselves and in our bodies. And we'll be right back.
You've been listening to The Coming Out Lounge, a safe space to be you and your truth with coming out coach Rick Clemens. We'll be right back after these messages.
I look into the window of my mind.
Wondering how to market, where to invest, where to advertise, where to find the right advice, or what to do about taxes? Doing business today is a complex venture, and that's where All Biz Talk comes in. All Biz Talk helps businesses and individuals find the right path to their success and learn more about the ideas, products, and services used by today's top professionals. Success leaves clues, so if you want to be successful, it's always best to listen to the people who have already been where you want to be. Our hosts are unbiased and will ask the hard questions, taking your calls to help connect you with the right professionals, people who can help you get a better handle on your personal and business choices. All Biz Talk is not a financial services company and does not offer any financial advice, but we will help you make the right choice when it comes to planning your financial future. Join All Biz Talk Tuesday afternoons at 1 Pacific, 3 Central at allbiztalk.com.
Everyday Autism Miracles with Shannon Penrod. Friday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com. Life after an autism spectrum diagnosis doesn't have to be difficult. It can be joyful, happy, and filled with hope. Join Shannon Penrod, author, speaker, coach, and mom of a 6-year-old recovering from autism for this inspirational hour of hope. She's even authored a series of children's autism books with her son, Jim. For more information about the books, Shannon, and Everyday Autism Miracles, go to her website, shannonpenrod.com. From there, you can also get to her other websites, blogs, and connections. On Everyday Autism Miracles, you'll hear stories from parents whose children have made miraculous strides. You'll also get the inside dish on therapies, treatments, supplements, and how to get funding to help you afford them. Miracles abound in the autism community, so tune in for Everyday Autism Miracles to listen, share, laugh, and surround yourself with hope. Everyday Autism Miracles with Shannon Penrod. Friday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Let's talk sex. Sexual liberation. This is really one of the founding pieces of why you would want to be liberated, and that awakening that comes when suddenly, as a human being, whether you're gay or straight, but I'm going to come from my gay perspective, when there he is, the guy that you've been going, oh my God, I can't wait to have that sexual animal raw energy with. And then the big breath, oh my God, it's really going to happen. And then suddenly all the tapes start playing. Am I good enough? Is he going to like my penis? Am I going to be hot in bed with him? Whatever it is. And here comes the sexual evolution. And I know, Bonnie, you have a story around how this body liberation freed you into that liberated state.
Yes, I do. So this is really interesting. I actually have probably never talked about this aspect of it before. So I'm opening up in a way I never have before, and I'm proud to do it. Because of being raped and having a stalker, I got really angry sexually, and I loved sex. However, I was not emotionally connected to sex. I became like a guy, where I became very promiscuous, and I was literally fucking men. I would fuck them and leave, and they would never get to come to my house or stay over, because that was definitely not going to happen. And so what happened is I never developed what I call intimacy with a partner for a very, very long time. And then I was wondering why I couldn't sustain relationships for a while, which was obviously very obvious. And one of the things that, happened when I really started to learn to love myself is I realized that I wanted a deeper connection with somebody. I wanted to feel their soul when we were intimate together. I wanted to be able to cry. I wanted to be able to literally have this experience that I never ever had before. And it literally did take me liberating my body and really learning to love myself. And I knew my body well as far as physically. So it wasn't that I needed to look at my body or any of that stuff. I really needed to love it and really appreciate it. And once I did that, I started connecting, in my case, with men, because I'm heterosexual. I started connecting with them in a totally different way. And it was very interesting because when I started, meeting men, if I didn't feel connected to them in more than just a physical way.
Sorry, we lost a connection. Anyone who's listening, we had a weird connection just happen. So you were just talking about connecting in a whole brand new way to men. So let's go with that. That's where
Yes, that was pretty ironic that's when it cut off. So when I really learned to connect in with my body and really love myself, I started meeting men. And if I did not feel connected to them in more than just a physical way, I didn't even want to be sexual with them. I literally wanted an experience. I wanted a mind-blowing, heartfelt experience with each man that I was with. And those are the type of men that I started to meet. And I ended up having the best intimacy and sexual experience and the most pleasures of my entire life. And not only did I have multiple orgasms, but I would be literally completely satiated when the experiences were over, which was a whole new world that opened up to me.
Well, and I think this is what really began to happen for me as well, as I spiritually began to open up to myself in the past, I'm going to say 6 years, and really began to see who I was supposed to become. And so much of it came from this piece of, I'm having a spiritual journey, a spiritual experience that began to open up things for me as a person. And as I said earlier in the show, as one piece of life begins to open up, then other things begin to open up. And I began to really experience with my partner a deeper level of, let's not just fuck, let's be intimate. And I think, without sounding uberly judgmental, this is a piece that many people miss. Sex is not intimacy. Sex, intimacy is a whole other game, but when you put sex, intimacy, and look at it as, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm going to, it becomes a very religious experience. It becomes something that is mind-blowing and allows multiple orgasms, tingling sensations, loving, deep-seated, however it works for you. For me, it becomes a very animalistic experience of, oh my God, we went someplace so much deeper. And it's kind of like those who do tantric sexual experiences, but just allowing yourself and enabling yourself to go, fuck this, I am letting go, is what it's all about.
Exactly. It's like a freedom and a freedom of connection.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, that's kind of what I think of it as, you know, because intimacy is connection. And it's interesting. I was speaking to a group of women last night, and when I talked about intimacy, one of them said to me, I didn't really understand what you meant. And when you said sex, I totally got it. And by the end of my talk that night, she understood that she probably wasn't reaching levels of intimacy when she was having sex with her husband that she possibly could be.
Right. And I think that's the piece is long-term relationships, and my partner and I, we just celebrated 11 years together, have a tendency to go from intimacy and great sex to sex or intimacy and then just sex. And then somewhere along the way, if you don't work on the intimacy piece with self as well as the couple, then nothing really begins to happen.
Exactly. And then people get bored. And a lot of times people start looking other places because there's something that isn't there that they are desiring.
And the intimacy piece, I think if someone were to take something away from the show, which I hope there's a lot they've taken away, would be intimacy can be as simple as a really longing look at your partner to just say, I see you. I really see you. I really see you. I really feel you.
In their eyes.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, not just staring at a body part, you know?
It is that inner connection. So we're getting close to the time, but I want to make sure that we really have covered everything. And I love talking with you. And so the product is Sex Butter, Yes Butter. Where can people get the product? Where can they connect with you? Let's get your websites and stuff. Make sure we get.
Okay. So they can get Yes Butter at www.cupielobes.com.
Okay.
They can get Sex Butter at sexbutter.net. That's a lot easier. And they can connect with me at bodyliberator.com.
Excellent.
And I'm on Facebook as Bonnie Gayle Body Liberator, Gayle.
Okay, so Bonnie Gayle, Gayle. So in the last few minutes, we've got about 4 minutes to go. If someone is really struggling with liberation, sexual, body, whatever it may be, best advice?
The best advice is to really, I tell them, write these messages 3 times. You are beautiful. I love you. And start with putting one message on the mirror that you get ready in front of in the morning, one on the refrigerator, and one on the door that you leave at. And literally each time you see this message, you must say it out loud to yourself 3 times, because it starts with really learning to love yourself and feel that you're beautiful. And then I would say it would be a really important thing to really get help working with somebody, because doing the release work is necessary. And that's not a sexual release that I'm talking about. It's really a release of the negativity that's sitting inside, stored in your cellular memory.
Okay, so I want to make sure everybody got that. So you're beautiful, I love you. Say it 3 times and put it on the door that you would leave your house from. And what else were the other 2 places you suggested?
The refrigerator.
Okay.
And the mirror that you get ready in front of in the morning.
And, you know, some people might be rolling their eyes right now. And I have to tell you, anytime you use any kind of affirmations, it's amazing what happens. It's just, it's mind-blowing and moving. And sometimes it's going to hit you when you least expect it. Because even though you may stand there and go, okay, I'm at the door, I'm leaving the house, and you are beautiful, I love you, you are beautiful, I love you. By the time you get to the third one, even if you're kind of like rolling your eyes the first few times, it suddenly begins to become very spiritual in nature. And you'll take the time to pause and slow down. So I love what you've shared today, Bonnie. Thank you, as always, for being exactly who you are.
Oh, thank you.
And as a powerful healer in your own right. And anything else you have to share with us, any place you're going to be? We've got about a little less than 2 minutes to go.
I'm going to actually be in New York doing a women's retreat on October 6th and 7th in Westchester. It's going to be amazing. If you go to wheredidmybodygo.com, it's going to be a really powerful event. It's myself and an herbalist and a healer, and it's really going to be about opening Pandora's box, which is really going deep inside and getting all that negativity out of there. And then day 2 is going to be reconnecting with each of the senses.
Perfect. So that's going to be at wheredidmybodygo.com. Bonnie will be one of the speakers. And I, again, so thankful to have had you on the show today, Bonnie. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night when we get together.
Thank you.
And if anyone got anything from this is what I'd love for you to take away. Love yourself. Love your body. Love your cellular self. And love your heart. This is what it's all about. When we take those big, bold steps to come out and play bigger in life, come out of the closet, whatever it may be, when you take that chance and liberate yourself to fully say, I'm stepping out, I'm stepping up, and I'm stepping into powerfully living my truth each and every moment of your life. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Love you all, and go liberate and be
Thank you for joining us today with the Coming Out Lounge with your host, Rick Clemens. Make sure you tune in with us next week, same time, same place,